Hello, everyone. Welcome to this ICE 365 European Sports Betting Series, where we're going to be looking at the future of sports betting marketing across Europe. I'm really pleased that we've got a fantastic guest today, which is Mattia Busuttil, who is the Head of Marketing Emerging Markets at Betsson. Mattia, how are you doing today?
Hi, Marc. Thanks for having me. Overall, all good. Very excited and looking forward to seeing where we can explore in the sports marketing world.
Fantastic. So, quickly into these questions. So, Matty, from your point of view, looking at Betsson and indeed outside of the market, how is the marketing mix changing and what marketing tools will become more prevalent across Europe?
I think firstly, it all depends on two main factors, I would say. So the first one would be, it will obviously depend on the country. So obviously, if the market is saturated or not, if we have markets in their infancy, the strategy is obviously completely different. And that would sort of dictate the media model and media mix you're going to sort of run in that particular market. I think key channels which are really starting to stand out these days, social media. Social media is a super powerful tool. I think it's a great way to reach new audiences. It's digital, it's completely trackable. So it can be very, very effective if done correctly. Um, I think other exciting channels, programmatic, it can be a very, very powerful tool, especially for retention. And I think to maybe put a third in there, obviously, we look at CRM in general. So email marketing is key to a full 360 strategy.
That's excellent. I assume from your answer there, Mattia, that Betsson being a multi-territory company, that you have different strategies within each of the territories.
Yes, of course we do. So obviously, I primarily work on the emerging markets. So generally, our strategy is very different to a very developed market, maybe such as a UK or a Germany. If you take the UK, as everyone knows, it's a very brand-led sort of market. You look at the Paddy Power Betfair, the 365, the William Hill, very heavy on TV, very big on affiliation as well. And if you then, for example, take different, so maybe more upcoming markets or what we call emerging markets, the strategy is very, very different there. Generally, because of regulatory sort of reasons, maybe certain marketing channels aren't accessible. So you don't have the full media mix, so you have limitations there when it comes to marketing. And generally, I believe when a brand is sort of in its infancy, I think affiliation is really, really key to sort of get a brand off the ground because you need to start bringing those volumes in quick. So affiliation becomes a key player in the emerging markets. And obviously, as the brand and the market sort of develop, then you can sort of move to bigger, more powerful ATL channels such as TV, radio, billboards, etc.
That's really interesting. So you mentioned brand there. So what role do you think brand and probably more importantly reputation play with customer engagement and marketing?
I would say that it's probably one of the biggest priorities there. If we go back to an example in the UK, if you take Paddy Power Betfair for many years, they've been known for their tongue-in-cheek advertising. They sort of were probably one of the only brands who managed to get away with a lot of things past the regulators just because of the way that brand is, and that was accepted. That they were allowed to be a bit on the sort of over the edge, and that goes to show how powerful brand is and how that sort of allows a brand to engage with the customer and how people can what's the best way to describe it, affiliate themselves with the brand. They feel part of it when you have that sort of emotional attachment. That's where you feel really engaged with the brand.
I guess as well, reputation would be really key to Betsson as well. We all know that the gambling industry has some problems in various countries, but I guess the reputation of Betsson is very, very, is used a lot in terms of marketing and customer experience.
Yes, yes, indeed it is. Obviously, Betsson for I think it's the last 5 or 6 years now. Betsson has won the socially responsible gaming operator by a number of different awarding bodies. So, being a public company, we are way above board on the way we operate. Our customer service is sort of always been close to our hearts and our number one priority. So our approach is very different. You do find some operators who like to push boundaries. I think I wouldn't say we play safe, but we play within the rules. We abide by the rules, and I think that also, as a marketeer, creates new challenges. But it really pushes you to sort of kind of develop engaging and sort of unique marketing campaigns within the confines of the rules. So it's very interesting.
Mattia, I'm really pleased you didn't name those operators. Then we would have got some people from legal breathing down our necks.
Yeah.
Um, do you think so? In your experience with Betsson and elsewhere, do you think can you see how operators have successfully shifted their strategies to leverage these new marketing channels that you were describing before, social, etc.?
Yes, I think one of the, for me, I would say the biggest success story. I know this calls about Europe, but I think one which really comes to mind is Barstools in America. I think they were a little media house, just talking about odds and sports and guys being guys, enjoying themselves when it comes to sports. And now they're a sports book, and they're a fantastic brand. They're opening in multiple regions across the US. Their whole content sort of approach is very tongue in cheek as well. Maybe you could call them the Paddy Power Betfair of the US. Um, but also, that being said, the way they leverage social media, their influencer marketing strategy, the way they sort of have key influential people within different unique sports who come in and are part of the sport of the Barstool advisors, and they give their own predictions, their own odds. They've built a very sort of significant community across a very wide demographic. So I think for me, there's definitely a big success story with Barstools.
And do you think that because there isn't something equivalent in Europe, is there? I mean, not there may be small single territory sort of media houses or websites, but there doesn't seem to be one which goes across, the whole of Europe, so to speak. Do you think there's an opportunity for that?
I would say so, but obviously it all depends if you as a media house want to take that leap over into the into sort of the gaming space. So it's not for everyone, but I do believe that there is some potentially maybe with some big media houses like Lad Bible in the UK. I think they're very similar to Barstools. I think they'd have a very good opportunity to enter the market. But that's obviously directly in relation to social media marketing. But then going back to what we sort of discussed about different brands who've had really, really good shifts. One of our brands in particular outside of Europe has done really successful, which is BetSafe in Kenya. So one of their main entries was by sponsoring the two leading rival teams in the Kenyan Football League, which is Gor Mahia and FC Leopards, which is sort of the equivalent of sponsoring Man United and Man City at the same time, which would be unheard of. But we've gone ahead and done that, and it's proved great success for us at Betsson.
I think yeah, it's really brave, and it's a really clever marketing. I think the only one that I can think of that might be similar is I believe many years ago, Celtic and Rangers had the same sponsor in Scotland. I think for a brief time. But you're absolutely right. There must have been some brave conversations with the fans of those groups, Mattia. Um, so moving on to you know you're obviously running multiple marketing campaigns across multiple territories in some cases for multiple brands and businesses. So how do you look at allocating budgets for those, across online affiliate marketing, and maybe trying to generate a budget for some of these less traditional methods that might not have the same KPIs built in?
I think this goes back to sort of the first question. It all boils down to what the market is and at what stage the brand is within that market. If we're entering a brand new market, we've just launched, then the media mix will be focused on sort of quick win, high volume, tried and tested sources with affiliates. So the strategy would be very focused on these sort of channels. And when it comes to splitting budget, it obviously depends on sort of the entry approach. Do we want to enter softly, see how the brand is perceived, and do we want to build up over time? Do we want to go in and be a very big presence in the market like Kenya? We went in and sponsored two huge big teams. So it all depends on the market, the business's appetite to grow that market, and sort of, do we want to test the waters, or do we want to make a huge name for ourselves from day one?
Yeah, cool. So finally, then, Mattia, and obviously COVID has affected the sporting calendars across the world, and from a European and I guess a global sporting point of view, two large events that should have taken place last year are taking place this year in the Euros and indeed the Olympics. How important are they going to be for Betsson, for this summer?
Well, they're going to be absolutely massive. They're the biggest sporting tournaments of the year, so they're key events in our calendars for a number of our markets. They're big events that sort of align with our acquisition strategies, with our retention strategies, with our sort of overall CRM approach with customers, the way we like to sort of manage customers. Unfortunately, I don't see there being any spectators at these events this year. They're fantastic opportunities to acquire new customers. Obviously, these sort of one-off events tend to bring in our one-off punters, just like the equivalent of having a Conor McGregor fight twice a year. And you'd say, okay, I'm just going to take a punt on Conor McGregor because why not? And the Euros is very much that. And also, it's market led as well. Obviously, as we know, the UK, everyone rallies behind behind Team England with hope and fingers crossed that they can make it through to the final. I know the last Euros was a bit of a bittersweet ending, but yeah, so they are very key events in our marketing calendar.
I'll just pull you up there slightly, Matthew. I'm a very proud Welshman, so I certainly will be supporting Wales rather than England. So the final thing, Matthew, before we go. So I'll put you on the spot here. Who's going to win the Euros?
I would say Germany.
Even their shock defeat to North Macedonia last night?
I think when Germany need to perform, they can really pull it together. But unfortunately, Germany do have a history of these sort of shockers, and we just have to take it as is at face value. But I believe that Germany will pull through in the end.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Mattia, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you.